Hi everyone! Welcome to the channel. If you like entertainment news, subscribe and share this video. Now, let's get into the big story. Today, the spotlight is on Demet Özdemir and Can Yaman because a rumor is blowing up again and it's everywhere. Demet reportedly received an offer for an important role in the series Sandokan, starring Can, an international project filmed abroad with a big budget. But the offer was allegedly withdrawn at the last minute. And here's the most delicate part. In celebrity gossip circles, one very specific version keeps being repeated. They say the withdrawal wasn't random, but the result of clear and firm opposition from Can Yaman. In other words, it wouldn't be just a casting issue. It would be something mixing personal boundaries, emotions from the past, and professional strategy. The offer? It wasn't a small role. According to sources close to the production team, major changes were reportedly made to the script for the second season, and one of the female characters was completely rewritten. The idea, again, according to these rumors, was to bring Demet in as an international face, taking advantage of her huge fan base both in her country and across Europe. And pay attention, they describe a strong, independent character, capable of shifting the storyline and sharing intense scenes with the lead. It's even said that concrete details had already been discussed: contract terms, filming schedule, and an international promotion strategy. That's why the shock was bigger when everything suddenly stopped. Can's position: I can't be in the same project. The version going around is that once he found out, Can set clear boundaries with the team and made it known he didn't see it as possible to share a set with Demet, neither professionally nor emotionally. And according to people close to him, the main fear wouldn't be the work itself, but the media circus, that even a small scene would be turned into headlines like reconciliation or love returns. In short, the concern would be that press noise could swallow the project and tarnish an international release they want to sell on a big scale. Demet, silence. But with resentment, Demet, for her part, hasn't reportedly made any direct statements, but they say her silence isn't indifference. Her circle's interpretation would be that she took it personally, as if her career were paying the price for a past story. In gossip media, a line attributed to a friend keeps being repeated, that Demet wanted the project for her career, not because of Can, but that he closed another door for her. And if that's true, it explains why this topic is generating so much talk. Producers caught in the middle. For the production, this clash wouldn't be just personal drama between two stars. It would be about brand value, sales, marketing, and international markets. Demet's involvement, they say, would have significantly increased interest in Turkey and in the Middle East market. But it's also true that Can is the core of the project, and his international weight would have pushed producers to step back. There's even a quote attributed to one producer, that Sandokan is a universe built around Can, and they didn't want to go to war with him. Script consequences and emergency meetings. And this gets even more interesting. The rumors say it wasn't just one phone call. They talk about urgent meetings, a script revision, and that the scenes intended for that female lead were cut or modified so the project could continue without her. A source close to the creative team allegedly said that character was meant to be the emotional core of the season, and even the pacing of the story revolved around her. But when there's tension, the priority becomes one thing: keeping the set stable and the lead actor calm. A new direction for Demet. Meanwhile, It's said that Demet may be entering a different phase, not wanting to stay tied to the same names and looking forward. And what's being rumored now? That her representative is negotiating 2 European projects. If that's confirmed, the Sandokan chapter could close for her, while opening brand new international doors. The big question: what would have happened if they acted together? The industry remains obsessed with one idea. If Can and Demet worked in the same project, interest would be massive, not only in Turkey, but also in Europe. But that same interest would bring intense media pressure that's almost impossible to control. Closing. For now, there's no official confirmation and no clear denial. Can continues with Sandokan. Demet is possibly preparing new announcements. And in the end, there's a strange feeling. This doesn't look like a story with a winner and a loser. Just 2 huge stars who, for one reason or another, couldn't cross paths in the same project. And now, I ask you, do you think this was a professional decision or a past story that still carries weight? When I read these comments about the situation between Can Yaman and Demet Özdemir, one impression becomes very clear. Around Can, a strange mix of expectations, reproaches, and romanticism has formed. And sometimes it weighs more than the facts. Honestly, it seems to me that he lives inside a narrative the public constantly feeds. Some see him as someone tied down or manipulated by the industry. Others as a man who complains too much and doesn't follow through. And the curious thing is that both views coexist, as if Can were both victim and responsible for everything that happens to him. On one hand, I understand those who criticize him harshly. When someone says something like, "Who's holding him back?" he always complains and doesn't keep his word. They're expressing fatigue with a repeated story. I also find it hard to connect with the poor Can role if, at the same time, he signs contracts, has agents, makes decisions, and acts with full awareness of what fame entails. That idea in the comments, he knows what he signs, he's not unaware of anything, sounds quite reasonable to me. The industry can be tough, yes, but it isn't a no-exit maze. If you're in it, partly it's because you accept to play that game. That said, I don't buy the version that everything boils down to Ken is acting on and off set, as if everything were pure theater. My sense is that Can has built a strong public persona, almost unavoidable, and that makes it difficult for him to show vulnerability without being accused of faking it. In entertainment, as another comment says, many people slip and lose themselves. Sometimes from too much exposure, other times from trying to please everyone. And Can, because of his charisma and international fame, is constantly under that spotlight. Every phrase is read as strategy, every silence as manipulation, every decision as betrayal of someone. About Demet, I notice there's a very idealized narrative. The price of honesty is called Demet, and fame came with her. I don't deny that phase was key for her image and the audience's affection. But I don't like when Demet is used as a kind of moral compass to measure him, as if Can had an eternal debt, or as if his path were only legitimate if he returns to that story. To me, that's unfair. Relationships, real or perceived, aren't emotional contracts with the audience. Then there's the almost mystical component some attribute to Can, that in another country, and a fine soul is waiting for him, that a world of freedom and true love awaits him, and that behind the scenes there's infinite happiness. I read that more as the public's desire than as a verifiable reality. Still, it's meaningful. Many people want to see him break free, want to believe he deserves a more authentic life, less conditioned by the media machine. And maybe that's the point. Ken Yaman triggers that escape fantasy because his public image has been intense, excessive, always on the edge. In summary, my opinion is that Can is neither a misunderstood martyr nor a calculating villain. He's a famous man with his own choices, but also under enormous pressure. If he truly wants to close chapters, including the one that ties him to Demet in the collective imagination, he needs to do it consistently. Fewer public complaints, more clarity in what he communicates, and above all, less feeding an ambiguous narrative that later turns against him. Because as long as that ambivalence remains, some people will defend him like a romantic hero, and others will attack him as if everything were an act. And in the end, the one who loses most is him.